Hello and welcome to Midday Prime, and I'm Gautam Roy, and right away in the show we're taking you across to Biarritz in France, where Prime Minister Modi is addressing one of the key sessions on the climate. You can see Prime Minister Modi along with the Sherpa there for the G7 summit, briefing him, Suresh Prabhu. It's a key engagement for the Prime Minister. He's having very important bilaterals. He's already met United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres, as well as the Prime Minister of UK Boris Johnson, and upcoming key bilaterals include one with US President Donald Trump as well as German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Apart from that, he is very shortly from now he'll be addressing two of the G7 sessions as well, starting with the one on environment and climate, and there's one on digitalization as well that he will be a key participant for. He'll be addressing in those two sessions, and we'll keep you updated on what's happening as far as the G7 summit meet is concerned, happening at a very key juncture where there are forest fires going on in Amazonian forests in Brazil, and in even spreading to perhaps in Bolivia. And also there is a trade war on between the US and China, which is affecting almost the entire world. Lots of things that are being taken up in G7. There is, of course, the larger issue of income disparity that is being addressed through the summit as well. France hosting it this time around. The Prime Minister has already met the French President previously. Before getting to Biarritz, he was in Paris, and after that he went to the UAE as well as Bahrain. Then he's back in France, but this time in Biarritz, where the G7 summit meet is taking place. India is a special invitee there along with other countries, although G7 of course comprises of other nations, developed nations, but this time around, since India shares a special relationship particularly with the host nation France, India along with some other countries are special invitees. So Prime Minister Modi is there in that capacity representing the country. We are bringing you regular updates. Time now for our headlines, and first up, yet another setback for P. Chidambaram. The Supreme Court dismisses the former finance minister's plea in the INX Media case seeking anticipatory bail from CBI's arrest as infructuous. Plea for anticipatory bail in the ED case for the same alleged crime is ongoing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address G7 summit sessions on climate, biodiversity, oceans and digital transformation. He will also hold key bilateral meetings with US President Donald Trump, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and other world leaders. Prime Minister Modi holds fruitful talks with United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres on the sidelines of the G7 summit meet on ways to mitigate climate change and other subjects. He also holds a bilateral with United Kingdom counterpart Boris Johnson on ways to advance ties, particularly in the fields of trade, defence and innovation. BSP chief Mayawati criticizes the Congress and other opposition parties for going to Kashmir without approval from the administration. Says after application of Article 370 from Jammu and Kashmir, it will take some time to normalize the situation, which has also been accepted by the Supreme Court. Union Home Minister Amit Shah is chairing the meeting of a review to review left-wing extremism affected states. The meeting is being attended by central ministries as well as chief ministers of the states concerned. Crackdown on corruption and harassment of taxpayers has been taken forward. The government compulsorily retires 22 more CBIC officers over alleged graft and misconduct charges. The top court orders the court registry to disburse 7.12 crore rupees deposited by Amrapali Group to the National Buildings Construction Corporation, that's the NBCC, for completion of stalled projects. Also directs the handover of a forensic audit report to probe agencies. In international news, police fires water cannon and tear gas in running battles with anti-government protesters in Hong Kong, the second day of violent clashes in the Chinese-ruled city. And in sports, India inflicts a humiliating 318-run defeat on the West Indies in the first Test match, while England claims the third Ashes Test thanks to an extraordinary innings by Ben Stokes. Well, first up, during the G7 summit, which is being held in the picturesque seaside French town of Biarritz, the Prime Minister will be addressing very shortly a session on environment, climate, as well as oceans. You can see how all the leaders are lined up for a photo op there. Those are not just the G7 members, the leaders of those nations, but also the ones that have been invited especially for this time around in Biarritz. Though India is not a member of the G7 grouping, Prime Minister Modi has been personally invited by French President Emmanuel Macron. It's a reflection of the personal chemistry between the two leaders and also recognition of India as a major economic power. The countries which are part of the G7 include the UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, as well as the US. And as this year's host, Macron has chosen to focus this year's summit on the issue of reducing inequality. The presidency has identified 5 goals for fighting inequality. Essentially, France has set a number of goals and priorities for its G7 presidency. One of the 5 goals is reducing environmental inequality by protecting our planet through climate finance and a fair ecological transition based on preserving biodiversity and the oceans. It is only natural that the fires raging in the Amazon also now appear to be at the top of Macron's agenda. The leaders of the group of 7 nations have said on Sunday that they have been preparing a plan for helping Brazil battle the fires and repair the damage. French President Emmanuel Macron has said the summit leaders were nearing an agreement on how to support Brazil and said the agreement would involve both technical and financial mechanisms so that we can help them in the most effective way possible. Well, it's an issue which has been prominently being figured out, in fact, at the G7 summit meet, which is, of course, the fires that are raging in the Amazon forests. Not only world leaders, but Brazilians are also worried about the exact toll that the Amazon fires are extracting. Many Brazilians have again taken to the streets in Rio de Janeiro and other cities on Sunday to demand the administration do more. 6 states in Brazil's Amazon have requested military help to combat record fires that are tearing through the rainforest. Protesters from indigenous communities and Greenpeace joined locals on the streets of Rio on Sunday to call on Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro to protect the Amazon rainforest. World leaders at the G7 summit have also agreed to help the countries affected by the huge wildfires ravaging the Amazon rainforest as soon as possible. After world leaders, even Pope Francis added his voice to the chorus of concern. On Sunday, he called for a global commitment to put out the fires in the Amazon, saying the area was essential for the health of the planet. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has already announced to send 44,000 soldiers to help battle the blazes. But many say it's not enough and comes too late. Bolsonaro has previously described rainforest protection as an obstacle to Brazil's economic development. Fires are common during Brazil's dry season, but this year has set an alarming record. The country's National Space Research Institute, which monitors deforestation, has recorded more than 77,000 wildfires in Brazil this year, and this is just the beginning of the dry season. Now, in neighboring Bolivia too, dozens of angry citizens demonstrated on Sunday in the central La Paz, appealing for international help to fight the raging wildfires devastating large areas of the Bolivian Amazon. The blazes have been burning unabated across vast swaths of hilly tropical forest and savanna near Bolivia's border with Paraguay as well as Brazil. At least 1 million hectares or approximately 3,800 square miles, have been impacted by the fires. Bolivia late last week contracted a Boeing 747 super tanker from the US to help with the firefighting and has mobilized more than 2,000 firefighters as well as small aircraft and helicopters. But the area affected by the wildfire has nonetheless nearly doubled since Thursday. The Amazon basin's vast forests are widely seen by scientists as a buffer against climate change. Bolivia's portion of the Amazon, while not as extensive, remains heavily forested. Bolivian President Evo Morales on Sunday said he was now open to international aid to fight the blazes. And back in Biarritz, on the sidelines of the G7 summit meet, Prime Minister Modi is going to hold bilateral meetings with United States President Donald Trump and Chancellor of Germany Angela Merkel today. So those are two big-ticket bilaterals that will be taking place in the course of the day, where not just the issue of the Amazon rainforest might come up, because the entire world is concerned about it, but a wide range of issues could be taken up. India and US have been strategic partners for long, and it's a special strategic partnership, and the relationship is almost at the same plane as far as Germany is concerned. Although the security aspect is not as prominent as in the case of the US, where the US is also a huge seller of arms and armaments to India. In the case of Germany, it's more about helping India develop further, industrialize further. But these are two very special relationships that are going to be taken forward in two key bilaterals through the day. Let me go across to my colleague Arendra for more on this. He's joining us from Biarritz in France. Arendra, just take us through how significant is the day today in terms of the Prime Minister's engagements. They are of a wide range of a multilateral as well as bilateral level.
बिल्कुल, मतलब ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट दिन है, और अब जब मैं इस समय आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ तो आप ये समझ लीजिए कि अब से कुछ ही देर में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जो है संबोधन करने जा रहे हैं। जो उनका पहला सत्र है क्लाइमेट चेंज को लेकर, उसको लेकर वो शुरुआत करने जा रहे हैं और उसमें बोलेंगे। इससे पहले अगर हम आज की बात करें तो कुछ बायलेटरल्स भी हो चुकी हैं और कल भी बायलेटरल्स हुई थी, और ये मल्टीलेटरल और बायलेटरल के लिहाज से एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एक फेज के तौर पे कहा जा सकता है, निश्चित तौर पे, क्योंकि हम देख रहे हैं कि कल 2 बायलेटरल हुई हैं। इसके अलावा 4 बायलेटरल आज शेड्यूल्ड हैं। 2 सेशन में पीएम बोल रहे हैं, और प्रधानमंत्री ने कल जब यहाँ पे लैंड किया था उसके 1 घंटे के भीतर ही उन्होंने यहाँ पे अपनी बैठकों का दौर शुरू कर दिया था, और आज सुबह से उनकी बायलेटरल हुई है। उसके अलावा अब ये जो पहला सेशन है क्लाइमेट चेंज को लेकर, बायोडाइवर्सिटी और ओशन को लेकर, अब उस पर उन्होंने अपना संबोधन देने जा रहे हैं। तो ये बेहद अपने आप में इम्पोर्टेंट है। जहाँ तक इस पूरे इसके सिग्निफिकेंस की बात की जाए तो इस समय कई ऐसे बड़े चैलेंजेस हैं जो इस बात को तस्दीक करते हैं कि जिसके लिए ग्लोबल कंसर्न्स बहुत ज्यादा है कि आखिर जैसे क्लाइमेट चेंज से कैसे निपटा जाए। ट्रेड वॉर का एक इशू है, इसके अलावा टेररिज्म के एक इशू है कि इन सारे चैलेंजेस के साथ में कैसे निपटा जाए। और साथ ही साथ जो ईरान का और अमेरिका का एक इशू है जिसको लेकर टेंशन हुई है दोनों ही मुल्कों में, जिससे दुनिया भी चिंतित है कि आखिर इससे कैसे निजात पाया जाए, तो उस दिशा में भी प्रयास लगातार साथ ही साथ चल रहे हैं। तो ये अपने आप में काफी इम्पोर्टेंट है, महत्वपूर्ण है, और ये अपने आप में एक ऐसा मौका होगा इस मंच से कि कई बातें साफ तौर पे निकल के आ सकती हैं। लगातार कोशिश की जा रही है कि जो डिफरेंसेस हैं तमाम मुल्कों के बीच में उसमें कमी की जाए और जो समस्याएं हैं उसके समाधान को खोजा जाए। गौतम,
तो आरेंद्र, जिस तरह की जानकारी अभी तक आपके पास है, खासकर विदेश मंत्रालय के जरिए से, इन तमाम मुद्दों को लेकर, चाहे वो अमेज़न रेन फॉरेस्ट का मुद्दा हो, इससे बड़ा क्लाइमेट चेंज का मुद्दा हो, और इनइक्वालिटी जो एक बड़ा विषय रखा गया है फ्रांस की ओर से, इमैनुअल मैक्रों की ओर से, उसमें प्रधानमंत्री किस तरह की अपनी बात रख सकते हैं? ये बायोडाइवर्सिटी वाला जो सेशन है ये आने ही वाला है।
तमाम मुल्कों के बीच में उसमें कमी की जाए और जो समस्याएं हैं उसके समाधान को खोजा जाए। गौतम,
बिल्कुल, और इसके साथ डिजिटलाइजेशन के बारे में भी बात होनी है, उसमें भी प्रधानमंत्री शिरकत करेंगे। भारत की ओर से क्या क्या हुआ है और क्या क्या किया जा सकता है, बहुत बड़ा स्कोप है, उसके बारे में विवरण होगा। We're trying to get in touch again with my colleague Arendra Pratap Singh, who is at Biarritz in France. Yes, Arendra, go ahead.
सुन नहीं पाए, एक बार अगर अपना सवाल आप अगर दोहरा दे तो गौतम।
मैं बस आपसे ये जानना चाहता था कि प्रधानमंत्री 2 सेशंस को संबोधित कर रहे हैं। अभी बायोडाइवर्सिटी वाला होगा, उसके बाद डिजिटल सब्जेक्ट होगा जिसके ऊपर सेशन रखा गया है, और बायलैटरल्स की तो बात आपने की ही, लेकिन ये जो वैश्विक विषय हैं उन पर किस तरह का दृष्टिकोण होगा प्रधानमंत्री का, इसके बारे में कुछ जानकारी विदेश मंत्रालय से आपको मिली है?
गौतम जी, अभी हालांकि बहुत कुछ अधिकृत तौर पे तो इस बारे में जानकारी नहीं दी गई है, लेकिन निश्चित तौर से जो आप वैश्विक चिंताओं का जिक्र कर रहे हैं उस पर क्या भारत का रुख है ये बहुत स्पष्ट है। हम अगर क्लाइमेट चेंज जैसे विषय की बात करें जिस पे अब से कुछ ही देर में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी सेशन में बोलने जा रहे हैं, तो हम सोल्यूशन की भी बात लगातार करते रहे कि कैसे हमको एक बैलेंस बना के चलने की ज़रूरत है प्रकृति के साथ में। और भारत सदियों से इस प्रकार की कोशिशें करता रहा है, और एक हमारे यहाँ परंपरा रही है कि हम प्रकृति को पूजते हैं, हम उसको एक सम्मान देते हैं, नदियों को, पेड़ों को, इन सबको हम सम्मान देते हैं, पर्वतों को। तो ऐसे में एक बड़ा मैसेज प्रधानमंत्री तमाम मंचों से देते रहे हैं कि कैसे भारत ने एक अपने आप में इस प्रकार के प्रयास किए हैं बीते समय में, वर्तमान में कर रहे हैं। ग्रीन एनर्जी के लिहाज से बात की जाए तो इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस जैसा सोल्यूशन भारत ने फ्रांस के साथ मिलकर दुनिया को दिया है, जिसमें आज दुनिया देख रही है कि किस तरीके से हम बढ़ सकते हैं, जो एक ऐसी एनर्जी है जिसकी सबको ज़रूरत है, और ऐसे में उस एनर्जी के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा आपको कुछ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। दूसरी महत्वपूर्ण चीज़ जो आपने डिजिटलाइजेशन के लिहाज से गौतम कहा, तो उसमें भारत अपने आप में एक एग्जाम्पल है, क्योंकि लगभग दुनिया की 17% आबादी हिंदुस्तान में रहती है, 130 करोड़ लोग हैं, और ऐसे में उनकी जो सामाजिक आर्थिक समस्याएं हैं उसके निदान के लिए अगर आप डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कर रहे हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी का इंटरवेंशन कर रहे हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी को आप उसके साथ लेकर आ रहे हैं, तो ऐसे में एक पूरी तरह से पारदर्शी व्यवस्था के साथ में सामाजिक और आर्थिक योजनाओं को ज़मीन पर उतारा जा रहा है। उसका नतीजा कहीं कहीं बहुत अच्छे से देखने को मिला है। हम जानते हैं जनधन, आधार, मोबाइल जैसी जो योजना जैम के माध्यम से है, डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर के माध्यम से किस प्रकार से सैकड़ों योजनाओं का पैसा सीधे लाभार्थियों के पास जा रहा है। जो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा लोकतांत्रिक मुल्क है हिंदुस्तान, वो अपने डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज़ को बहुत तरीके से स्थापित करने के लिए तकनीक का इस्तेमाल करके ग्रामीण स्तर तक पहुंच रहा है। तो ऐसे में एक तरीके से ये जो पूरा एक वर्ड है डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के लिहाज से, उसका इस्तेमाल करते हुए कैसे हम फ़ायदा पहुंचा रहे हैं, तो ये अपने आप में एक एग्जाम्पल हम सेट करके दिखा रहे हैं दुनिया के सामने कि हम किस तरह से इस डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज़ को बनाए रखने के लिए, हम लोगों की जो सोशियो इकोनॉमिक प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उसको दूर करने के लिए, साथ ही साथ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के माध्यम से एक ट्रांसपेरेंट व्यवस्था को लागू करने के लिहाज से। तो ये अपने आप एक बड़ा चीज़ होगी, महत्वपूर्ण चीज़। इसके साथ साथ आपने जो कहा कि जो ग्लोबल कंसर्न्स हैं उसको लेकर किस तरीके से बात आगे बढ़ सकती है, ट्रेड वॉर को लेकर अपने आप एक बड़ा मसला है जिसको लेकर लगातार चर्चा चल रही है कि आखिर इस पर किस प्रकार से समाधान निकल सकता है। तो ट्रेड वॉर को लेकर यहाँ पर बहुत से कंसर्न्स हैं, और हम देख रहे हैं कि लगातार बात हो रही है कि जो प्रोटेक्शनिज्म है, संरक्षणवाद है, और जो ओपन इकोनॉमी है, उसके बीच का जो कन्फ्लिक्ट है उसमें एक बैलेंस बनाने की बात हो रही है। लगातार यहाँ पे जो वर्ल्ड लीडर्स हैं वो इस बात को कह रहे हैं कि आपको एक बैलेंस बनाना होगा। अगर आपके नेशनल इंटरेस्ट हैं तो आपको ग्लोबल कंसर्न्स को भी आपको समझना होगा, और इस प्रकार की जो एक वॉर है, ट्रेड वॉर है, या जो ट्रेड प्रोटेक्शनिज्म को लेकर, जो इकोनॉमिक प्रोटेक्शनिज्म को लेकर, संरक्षणवाद को लेकर जो पॉलिसी चल रही है उस पर विराम लगाने को लेकर लगातार यहाँ पे हमें बयान सुनने को मिल रहे हैं। और उम्मीद यही की जा रही कि कल से लेकर अभी तक जो महत्वपूर्ण मंथन, चर्चा और मीटिंग्स चल रही हैं उसमें शायद कुछ एक समाधान का रास्ता निकलता नजर आए। और साथ ही साथ मैं ये इस चीज़ का भी जिक्र करना चाहूँगा कि अमेरिका और ईरान के बीच को लेकर जो टेंशन चल रहा था उसको ईज आउट करने के लिए भी फ्रांस के राष्ट्रपति इमैनुअल मैक्रों ने एक बेहद महत्वपूर्ण पहल की है, और उसके चलते ईरान के जो विदेश मंत्री हैं वो इस वक्त बियारिट्ज में ही हैं। और ये अपने आप में एक बड़ा सरप्राइजिंग एलिमेंट था दुनिया के लिए कि आखिर ये कैसे संभव होगा। हालांकि इस पर कुछ अभी बड़ी खबर, कोई एक ब्रेक थ्रू हमें अभी जानकारी नहीं आई है, लेकिन बैक चैनल्स में लगातार बातचीत हो रही है। संभावना इस बात की है कि यहाँ कुछ ना कुछ निष्कर्ष रूप निकल सकता है। गौतम,
definitely talks is perhaps the way forward, where Iran and the agreement between the the larger countries of the world is concerned, particularly the US, where I believe the problem is the most acute. Even on the subject of environment, if something emerges in terms of the developed world helping out a nation like Brazil and its neighboring countries, where the Amazon rainforest and protecting them is concerned from these wildfires, it can set some sort of a precedent which might take forward India's case for climate justice as well. So a fairly crucial day as far as G7 is concerned, and we'll have to wait and see what the Prime Minister has to say about these global concerns as well, because that could have a direct impact on your life and mine as well here back home in India. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment from Biarritz in France, Arendra Pratap Singh. Now moving on back home, the Supreme Court has refused to entertain Congress leader P. Chidambaram's plea challenging the dismissal of his anticipatory bail plea in a corruption case lodged by the CBI in the INX media scam. The top court said his petition has become infructuous as Chidambaram has already been arrested by the CBI. The Supreme Court further said that Chidambaram is at liberty to seek remedy in accordance with the law. P. Chidambaram, whose CBI custody is ending today, will be produced before a trial court where the agency can further seek his custody, while at the same time he could also ask for bail. Let me go across to my colleague Vikas Sarthi, who has been monitoring all the situation as far as it evolves in the Supreme Court. And Vikas, it seems that Chidambaram has for now got another setback in the Supreme Court, although he's still trying hard to ensure that somehow he regains his liberty.
Right, Gautam. It's a setback for Chidambaram. In fact, they have also filed a petition where they challenge the very order of lower court through which he was given. He was sent to the CBI custody, but that matter was not listed today. When the matter come up for hearing, the court was of the opinion since he has already been sent to CBI remand, the earlier petition of anticipatory bail has become infructuous, and because of that, Supreme Court didn't hear that petition. Court said that there is no point in hearing this petition on merit. So that chapter closed. Now all the hearing is happening on the ED case. Since Supreme
That's
Court
for anticipatory bail in the ED case, right?
Right.
Okay.
Now the matter is related to the anticipatory bail given in the ED case. That was given till Monday. Now today Supreme Court will decide whether that kind of protection should be extended or not. So far as the ED is concerned, ED has given certain notes to the bench and said that before passing any order,
Yes.
Supreme Court must look into these documents. Though Kapil Sibal strongly opposed that move, and he said that such kind of documents cannot be given to the bench, which are not available to the Defence Counsel. He in fact said that even in the High Court also, even after the order of High Court that the judgment is reserved, some documents were given to the High Court judge, and High Court judge relied on those documents, which was completely against the judicial process. So again, he is challenging any note from the ED unless the copy of that note is provided to the Defence Counsel. Supreme Court now has resumed the hearing after the lunch, and now we will know that what ED submits before the bench as of now. But in the first part of the hearing, the ED was of the view that there are certain documents which are very relevant to this case, and Supreme Court should not pass any order without analyzing those documents.
Okay, so we wait to hear from the bench. What is the bench's view on these two contrary submissions? But as far as P. Chidambaram's arrest by the CBI is concerned, he cannot come to the Supreme Court directly. Can he, seeking bail? Because first there is the trial court, then there's the appeal court, which is the High Court, and then only can the Supreme Court come into the picture, right?
Exactly, Gautam. In fact, no lawyer will approach Supreme Court directly, because if Supreme Court denies bail,
then you have nowhere else to go.
You have already exhausted two forums. There are two forums available, which should be exhausted first, and then only somebody should come to the Supreme Court. So it is always advisable that the regular bail plea must be filed before trial court first.
Okay, let's see what kind of a strategy in the matter of getting bail, where the CBI has arrested P. Chidambaram is concerned, do his lawyers take, because that custody is ending today. So That is a matter that will be taken up in the trial court, and we'll keep our viewers updated on that as well. For the moment, Vikas Sarthi, thanks for joining us. Let's also tell you what else has happened in the Supreme Court. Well, in the Amrapali case, the Apex Court has directed that an amount of 7 crore rupees be released from the Supreme Court's bank account to National Buildings Construction Corporation, that is the NBCC, for the remaining construction of 2 projects in Noida and Greater Noida. Excuse me. Well, the Apex Court has asked forensic auditors to supply a copy of the report to the Enforcement Directorate and Economic Offences Wing. The court also asked Noida and Greater Noida authorities to create a special cell for each project to ensure speedy work of the unfinished projects. Now, in line with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's call from the ramparts of the Red Fort on Independence Day, the government has come down hard once again against those indulging in corruption and harassment of taxpayers. This time round, the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, that's the CBIC, has compulsorily retired 22 senior officers up to the rank of Superintendent of Administrative or Administrative Officers. Decisions to compulsorily retire officers has been taken under the Fundamental Rule 56J. In a CBI statement, it's been said that this extreme step has been taken in public interest due to corruption and other charges as well as CBI traps. In June this year, 27 high-ranking IRS officers, including 12 CBDT officials, had been compulsorily retired on similar grounds and for similar reasons. Now, Bahujan Samaj Party President Mayawati lashed out at the opposition parties on Monday. Their attempt to visit Srinagar after the scrapping of Jammu Kashmir's special status was the source of her ire. In a series of tweets, Mayawati said, and I quote, "It is well known that Baba Saheb Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar was in favor of equality, unity and integrity of the country. Hence, he was not in favor of the separate provision of Article 370 for Jammu and Kashmir. Because of this, BSP had supported its scrapping in Parliament. The BSP was among the first to extend support to the centre's move on the 5th of August to scrap almost all the provisions of Article 370 of the Constitution, which gave special status to Jammu and Kashmir." Mayawati's comments have come 2 days after a 12-member delegation of opposition party leaders, including Rahul Gandhi of the Congress, had flown to Srinagar but were detained and sent back. And JNK Governor Satyapal Malik has said that comments made by opposition leaders are coming at the most inopportune time and is becoming a potent weapon for the enemies of peace. Union Home Minister Amit Shah is holding a meeting with the chief ministers of the left-wing extremism, that's the LWE, affected states, and is reviewing the status of the issues related to the security and development in 10 states at Vigyan Bhavan in the national capital. The meeting is currently underway. And spokesperson of the Ministry of Home Affairs has clarified on the security cover given to former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. In a statement, the MHA spokesperson has said, and I quote, "The current security cover review is a periodical and professional exercise based on perception that is purely based on professional assessment by security agencies." Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh continues to have a Z+ security cover. Now, on the occasion of the birth anniversary of Mother Teresa, peace prayers were performed at Mother House in Kolkata in the saint's memory. Mother Teresa, a Roman Catholic nun, was born today in 1910 in the Ottoman Empire and was famously known as the Saint of the Gutters. Though she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize and the Bharat Ratna for the work she did for the poor, disabled and homeless people, but was proclaimed as a saint on the 4th of September 2016. And now it's time for all the updates from the economy and business worlds. Let's go across to Preeti. And we have Preeti with us with all the business updates.
Thank you, Gautam. In Business World, we'll tell you about how clean fuel infrastructure has seen massive boost in the recent times. The city gas distribution is being expanded throughout the country, covering nearly 50% of the geography and catering to nearly 70% of the Indian population. At the commencement of the work for 10th CGD bidding round, Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said that the government is pushing towards making India a gas-based economy with overall investment of 5 lakh crore rupees. Also, the Petroleum Minister said that future mobility will shift to LNG as it will be cheaper, and the government is working on a model to ensure that it is available in suffice for the future demands. And the Central Vigilance Commission, that is the CVC, has constituted advisory board for banking frauds, that is ABBF, headed by former Vigilance Commissioner T.M. Bhasin, to examine bank frauds over rupees 50 crore and recommend action. The board would undertake the first level of examination before recommendations are made to the investigative agencies. The board's jurisdiction would be confined to cases involving officers of General Manager cadre and above with respect to an allegation of a fraud in a lending case. And it's back to Gautam.
Thank you, Preeti. And let's now take you across to Biarritz in France, where the session on biodiversity is about to begin, where Prime Minister Modi will be making his submissions as well.
And I would suggest to perhaps first ask Secretary General to make an update on where we are, and please be direct and strict with us, Mr. Secretary General. And I will ask people perhaps to react very directly and straight to the point. Second, we have the situation in Amazonia, and I will ask perhaps President of Chile to report on what we worked on collectively.
Okay, we'll try to fix the problem that might be coming in from the signals that we're getting from Biarritz in France. Like I said, the session on biodiversity has begun. There you could see the French president there urging all the leaders to make their submissions in a forthright and clear manner, and to spell out what exactly they want to see taking place in the world as far as this vital issue, which is directly related to climate change, where it is acquired currency as well, hugely because of what's happening in the Amazonian rainforests in Brazil and in neighboring countries as well. It's an environmental crisis because 20% of the world's oxygen is coming in from those Amazonian forests, where swaths of squares and square miles of forest land and forests are on fire right now. Now, a lot of blame game is also going on as to what has caused these fires, whether they're man-made or natural. But fact of the matter is that this is just the beginning of the dry season in that area. Remember, it's south of the equator, so while it may be wet here and we have a different weather system in India, which is the monsoons, things are very different, south of the equator, especially in Latin America, where it's very dry and it's just begun that dry season. So it will be very difficult to contain these fires. In fact, since they started, they've only been spreading despite the efforts that have been going on, although some also question the sincerity and the extent of those efforts to curb and control those fires. But then let me bring in Arendra Pratap Singh, my colleague there in Biarritz. And Arendra, this is a raging subject like the raging flames in those forests right now. What sort of a progress can we expect, in terms of global action where this current ongoing environmental crisis is concerned?
गौतम, अगर मैं इस समस्या के बारे में करूं कि जो अमेज़न के जंगलों में आग का एक विषय है, ये बेहद चिंताजनक स्थिति है। और हमने देखा था जब बियारिट्ज में यहाँ पे फ्रांस के राष्ट्रपति आए तो उन्होंने साफ तौर पर इस बात को कहा था कि ये एक बहुत बड़ी समस्या है और इस समस्या के समाधान के लिए हम तुरंत इस विषय पे हर एक एक्शन के लिए तैयार हैं और हम हर एक एक्शन लेने के लिए हम तैयार हैं। और ऐसी स्थिति में उन्होंने कहा था कि एक हमको कंसेंसस बनाने की जरूरत है और वर्ल्ड के तमाम लीडर्स ने इस पे अपने कंसर्न शो किए थे और साथ ही साथ ये भी कहा था कि वो ब्राजील को हर प्रकार की मदद देने के लिए तैयार है कि इस आग से कैसे निपटा जाए। लेकिन ये महज एक देश तक सीमित नहीं, क्योंकि इस प्रकार की चुनौतियां आए दिन अक्सर अलग अलग देशों में आती रहती हैं, जहां पे जंगलों में बड़े स्तर बड़े पैमाने पर आग लगती है और उसके बाद में इस प्रकार की स्थिति पैदा होती है कि हम देखते हैं कि बहुत बड़े इलाके में उस आग से नुकसान होता है। और ये आग से होने वाले नुकसान को लेकर एक बात ये भी साफ तौर से कही गई कि जिस इलाके में पूरी एक बहुत बड़े अलग अलग प्रकार के पेड़ पौधे जीव जंतु होते हैं, बायोडाइवर्सिटी जैव विविधता जो होती है, उसका भी एक तरीके से वो पूरा इलाका वो नष्ट हो जाता है। तो कई बार में कुछ यूनिक पेड़ पौधे या जीव जंतु ऐसे इलाकों में होते हैं और उस प्रकार की आग के बाद में उनका नष्ट हो जाना एक अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी चिंता की बात है। तो जाहिर सी बात है कि इस प्रकार की समस्या को लेकर हर एक नेता ने यहाँ पे कंसर्न शो किए हैं और उस कंसर्न को शो करने के बाद उस पर एक्शन के लिए भी बात की। और जब मैं इस समय आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ तो इस समय क्लाइमेट चेंज और इसी को लेकर इस समय जो सेशन है वो चल रहा है, जिसमें प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी भी मौजूद है और अब से कुछ देर पहले ही ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स के तौर पे फ्रांस के जो राष्ट्रपति इमैनुअल मैक्रों उन्होंने अपनी बात सामने रखी है। और उसमें वहां पर उन्होंने सेशन के शुरुआत में ही जितने भी लीडर्स हैं, जो G7 के लीडर्स हैं, इसके अलावा जो इनवाइटेड अदर लीडर हैं जिनमें प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी भी मौजूद हैं, उन सभी को एक रिस्ट वॉच, हाथ में बांधने वाली घड़ी उन्होंने गिफ्ट की है। और वो उसकी विशेषता ये है कि वो घड़ी जो है वो कचरे से बनाई गई है, जो वेस्ट होता है जिसको हम लोग इस्तेमाल नहीं करते, जो रिसाइकल करके बनाई गई है। और उसका एक ऊर्जा, चाहे उसकी हम जो तकनीक
बहुत ही उम्दा गिफ्ट है, बहुत ही अच्छा तोहफा है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। तो ये अपने आप में हम कह सकते हैं कई बार एक सिंबल होता है, लेकिन अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा मैसेज होता है कि दुनिया को अब अपने जो उसने कचरा पैदा किया है, हमको उसको इस्तेमाल करते हुए अपने इस्तेमाल के लिए चीजें बनानी होंगी, इस्तेमाल में लाना होगा। ये अपने आप में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। और जब उन्होंने ये गिफ्ट किया सभी लीडर्स को, जब वो टेबल पर बैठे हुए थे,
हाँ, हम तस्वीर देख रहे हैं इस वक्त आरेंद्र, स्क्रीन पर वो घड़ी दिखा रहे हैं।
हाँ, तो आप देखिए वो हर एक के चेहरे पे एक अजीब सी एक उत्सुकता है कि अरे वाह, मतलब ऐसा होता है या ऐसा होना चाहिए।
जी, घड़ी देख के तो बिल्कुल नहीं लग रहा कि रिसाइकिल मटेरियल की बनी है, बिल्कुल चमकती दमकती सुंदर घड़ी है।
बिल्कुल, तो यही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि दुनिया के इतने बड़े मंच से और इतने वर्ल्ड लीडर्स के बीच में अगर इस प्रकार का एक मैसेज दिया जा रहा है, और जिसको अभी प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने भी लाल किले की प्राचीर से कहा था, सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक को खत्म करने का एक जो उन्होंने पूरा मैसेज दिया था, कहीं ना कहीं हमें इन सब चीजों को जोड़ कर देखना। हम आइसोलेशन में अपनी योजनाएं, पॉलिसीज को लेकर हम नहीं बढ़ सकते, क्योंकि हम एक ग्लोबल विलेज में रह रहे हैं, यहाँ पे हर एक देश की चीजें हर एक दूसरे देश के साथ में जुड़ती नजर आती हैं। समस्याओं की बात हो, उनके समाधान को लेकर एक तरीके से प्रयास की बात हो, तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट और बहुत जरूरी है। तो वही चीज यहाँ हमको देखने को मिल रही है।
लेकिन आरेंद्र
जी,
पर्यावरण के विषय पर हमें पता है कि काफी विभाजन भी रहा है, डिफरेंसेस ऑफ ओपिनियन रहे हैं। माफ कीजिए, एक तरफ इमैनुअल मैक्रों जैसे विश्व नेता है, उनका नजरिया कुछ और है, एक तरफ डोनाल्ड ट्रंप है, उनका नजरिया बिल्कुल उसके पलट है, और उस के हिसाब से उन्होंने जिस तरह के फैसले लिए हैं, आपको लगता है कि यहाँ पर कुछ अलग सी राय व्यक्त कर सकते हैं डोनाल्ड ट्रंप?
जो आपने बात का जिक्र किया, मैं आपको 2018 के G7 सम्मेलन की बात करूं तो उस G7 सम्मेलन को G6+1 कहा गया। G6+1 मीन्स G6 मतलब अमेरिका का जो रुख था वो थोड़ा सा बाकी 6 सदस्य देशों के रुख से अलग था, और वो अपने फैसलों को थोड़ा अलग तरीके से ले रहे थे। तो ऐसे में ये अपने आप में एक बड़ा चिंता का विषय था। लेकिन तब से लेकर अभी तक 1 साल का वक्त हो गया, या उससे पहले पेरिस COP21 को लेकर जो पेरिस सम्मेलन हुआ था
जी, और उसके बाद से कैलिफोर्निया में बहुत बड़ी फॉरेस्ट फायर्स भी हुई हैं।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। तो अब होता क्या है कि आप एक फैसला लेते हैं, कई बार आपके फैसले तात्कालिक होते हैं, लेकिन आप लॉन्ग टर्म गोल्स के लिए जब आप दोबारा से रीथिंक करना शुरू करते हैं तो आपको लगता है कि हाँ, हम कुछ थोड़ा सा वापस जा सकते हैं, सोच सकते हैं, इस विषय पे बात कर सकते हैं। तो निश्चित तौर से इस बात के संकेत कई मौकों पर खुद राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने भी दिए हैं कि वो शायद इस प्रकार से अब उसमें अपनी उनकी जो सोच थी उसमें थोड़ा सा वो बदलाव ला सकते हैं। लेकिन वो कितना बदलाव लाएंगे
जी, क्योंकि बात सिर्फ जंगल की आग की नहीं है, बात टोर्नेडोज की भी है। बहुत तबाही देखी है, खासकर अमेरिका के ही कई मुख्तलिफ इलाकों ने देखी है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, ये समस्या है। वो क्या रहा है कि गौतम, जब इन सारी समस्याओं से मिलकर लड़ने की बात आती है तो जो डेवलप्ड नेशंस हैं उनको फाइनेंशियल असिस्टेंस देने की बात होती है, उनको टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर करने की बात होती है, प्रॉब्लम वहीं पे खड़ी हो जाती है। उनको कई बार लगता है कि हमारा एक क्षत्र राज्य है, एक तकनीक उन्होंने विकसित की है, एक टेक्नोलॉजी उन्होंने विकसित की, और क्यों हम इस प्रकार से किसी अन्य मुल्कों के साथ में साझा करें। वहीं पे आ जाती है बात, आप कितना कमिटेड हैं इस प्रकार के ग्लोबल चैलेंजेस को लेकर, कि क्या आप सच में उन समस्याओं से निदान पाना चाहते हैं या सिर्फ आप वक्तव्य देकर अपनी प्रेजेंस को शो करना चाहते हैं। तो शायद अब मुझे लगता है कि जब लिखते हैं हम कि दिस इज द टाइम ऑफ द एक्शन, नॉट जस्ट कि हम एक शब्दों से काम चला सकते हैं, हमको एक्शन करके दिखाना होगा। वो बात यहाँ पर भी कही जा रही है लगातार G7 के मंच से भी कि दिस इज टाइम फॉर द एक्शन नाउ। तो अब अगर आपको एक्शन करना है, उसको जमीन पर ट्रांसलेट करना है, तो इसमें निश्चित तौर से आपको वो सब करके दिखाना होगा, चाहे वो फाइनेंशियल असिस्टेंस की बात हो, वित्तीय सहयोग की बात हो, चाहे टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर की बात हो, जो डेवलपिंग नेशन है उनके साथ आपको करना ही होगा। एक बड़ी चीज, मैं कल सुरेश प्रभु जो कि शेरपा है इंडिया के G7 पे, उस समय जब इंटरव्यू कर रहा था, उन्होंने कहा कि आज के समय में जो ग्लोबल वार्मिंग का जो चैलेंज है, क्लाइमेट का जो इशू है, वो डेवलप्ड नेशंस के द्वारा क्रिएट किया हुआ इशू है, क्योंकि जब वो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन के दौर से गुजर रहे थे तो उन्होंने इस दुनिया का नुकसान किया। तो ऐसे में मौजूदा समस्या उनके द्वारा दी है, आगे समस्या पैदा ना हो तो उसमें डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज क्या योगदान दे सकते हैं, इसके लिए उन्हें भी इसमें सहयोग करने की जरूरत है। यानी कि जो साझा पूरा जो समस्या है उसके लिए अगर निदान निकालना है तो हर एक को आगे आना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि भारत जैसा देश ही कब बिल्कुल भी इस बात को अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकता कि वो तरक्की ना करे। भारत जैसा देश ही इस बात को अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकता कि वो अपने लोगों को ऊर्जा जरूरतें पूरी ना करे। भारत जैसा देश ये अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकता कि वो अपने जो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन की जो कोशिशें हैं वो अपनी तरफ से ना करे। तो ऐसी जब कोशिशें वो करेगा तो निश्चित तौर पे जो कार्बन फुटप्रिंट की जो बात होती है वो आगे बढ़ते नजर आएंगे। लेकिन क्या उसको वो ग्रीन टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ में उसको कम कर सकता है, मिनिमाइज कर सकता है, यहीं पे रोल आ जाता है डेवलप्ड नेशंस का। मुझे लगता है कि इसको लेके जो एक कंसेंसस बनाने की जरूरत है वो कई बार आके यहाँ पे अटक जाती है। जब नेशनल इंटरेस्ट आ जाते हैं तो कई बार ग्लोबल कंसर्न्स को लोग साइडलाइन कर देते हैं, लेकिन अब ग्लोबल कंसर्न्स इतने ज्यादा गहरे हो चुके हैं, आप उसको इग्नोर कब तक करते रहेंगे, क्योंकि आपको भी उसी दुनिया में रहना जिस दुनिया में हम रहते हैं, और हवाओं की कोई सीमा नहीं होती है। इस प्रकार के जो मौसम की जो विपत्तियां होती हैं, जो प्रकृति की जो दिक्कतें होती हैं, वो बहुत सीमाओं को मानती नहीं है। तो निश्चित तौर से आपको इस सच्चाई को स्वीकारना होगा।
जी जी जी, ये तो वही बात होगी आरेंद्र कि हम व्यक्ति को समाज से अलग करके नहीं देख सकते, तो राष्ट्र भी इसी तरह से होते हैं। विश्व से किसी एक राष्ट्र को इस मामले में कम से कम जहाँ पर्यावरण बदल रहा है आपका, उसमें अलग करके नहीं देख सकते। यू कैन नॉट डिसोसिएट लाइक दैट, द वे यू कैन नॉट लुक एट थिंग्स इन आइसोलेशन, एंड दिस इज अ टाइम, हाई टाइम that action is taken where issues not just that's just symptomatic what is happening in the rainforests in the Amazon right now, but the larger issue of climate change needs to be addressed on an urgent basis, and perhaps a relook at the perspective of those who feel that it is a figment of imagination needs to be done, and we'll have to wait and see if there is progress on that, where of course India's perspective will also be vital, because India has been saying that action is required, climate justice is required, because without climate justice it just won't work. We'll have to wait and see what kind of consensus emerges, and if there is any action emerging from that consensus as well. We keep ourselves tuned to what you have to tell us, Arendra, apart from those leaders in Biarritz. Thanks for joining us for the time being.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you.
Okay, and for now let's get you other updates that we've gathered from across the globe as well. In fact, this is something that is still from Biarritz in France. Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif made a brief and unannounced visit to the G7 summit in France on Sunday. Zarif attended a sideline talks in the seaside town of Biarritz, where world leaders, including US President Donald Trump, have gathered. Zarif in a tweet said the road ahead was difficult but worth trying, and a meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines of the G7 summit on Sunday. Now, Sudan's newly created Sovereign Council formally declared a state of emergency in the city of Port Sudan on Sunday following tribal clashes that police say have killed at least 16 people. The acting governor and the head of the National Security Service for the eastern Red Sea state, of which Port Sudan is the capital, were both dismissed, said Brigadier Al-Tahir Abu Haja, spokesperson for the Sovereign Council. This has come after, in fact, at a delicate time for Sudan following the signing of a power sharing agreement earlier this month. The Joint Military-Civilian Sovereign Council was sworn in last week, as was Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, who is set to form a government later this week. At least 7 people, including 2 children, were killed in a mid-air collision between a helicopter and a light aircraft over Spain's Mallorca island on Sunday. The cause of the accident was not yet known. Emergency services were notified of the crash at 1:35 p.m. time in the municipality of Inca. The police said the two aircraft crashed into a field. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez expressed condolences to the victims' families. Now from Europe to Asia, Hong Kong police drew their guns and fired a warning shot Sunday night after protesters attacked officers with sticks and rods and brought out water cannon trucks for the first time, an escalation in the summer-long protests that have shaken the city's government and residents. The day's main showdown took place on a major drag in the outlying Tsuen Wan district following a protest march that ended in a nearby park. While a large crowd rallied in the park, a group of hardline protesters took over a main street, strewing bamboo poles on the pavement and lining up orange and white traffic barriers and cones to obstruct the police. So that tenuous situation in Hong Kong refuses to abate. We'll keep an eye trained on that as well, but for the time being, let's get you all the updates from the world of sports. And India is still on that high with its very own shuttle queen, and we have updates from our sports colleague with that.
Thanks, Gautam. We started badminton. Asian shuttler PV Sindhu created history by winning her maiden World Championships gold medal at Basel in Switzerland on Sunday. With this win, Sindhu became the first Indian to finish on the top step of the podium in the prestigious World Meet. Sindhu defeated Japan's Nozomi Okuhara 21-7, 21-7 in a lopsided women's singles final.
PV Sindhu became the first Indian to win Badminton World Championship gold by beating familiar rival Nozomi Okuhara of Japan in a lopsided final in Basel on Sunday. Sindhu won 21-7, 21-7 in the summit clash that lasted just 38 minutes. 2 years after being robbed of the gold by Okuhara in an epic 110-minute final at Glasgow, Sindhu finally exorcised the ghost of the heart-wrenching loss with a completely dominating win over the same opponent. It was Sindhu's 5th World Championship medal. The world number 5 is now the first Indian shuttler to win a gold at BWF World Championship. She is also the most successful women's single shuttler at the World Meet, having won 5 medals in just 6 appearances. She has also won an Olympic silver in 2016 Rio Games, a silver at Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, an Asian Games silver at Jakarta, and a BWF World Tour Finals last year. She became only the 4th singles player ever to have a full set of World Championship medals. Sindhu's inability to win the gold medal had been a major talking point. With this win at World Championship, Sindhu has put an end to all the debate surrounding her inability to win the yellow medal in big matches. Sports Desk, DD News.
Congratulatory messages started pouring in for PV Sindhu, who became the first ever Indian to claim gold in BWF World Championships. President Ramnath Kovind in a tweet said that congratulations PV Sindhu for winning the BWF World Championships. This is a proud moment for the entire country. Your magic on the court, hard work and perseverance enthralls and inspires millions. Best wishes, World Champion, for all your future battles. PM Modi congratulated Sindhu. PM Modi in a tweet said that the stupendously talented PV Sindhu makes India proud again. Congratulations to her for winning the gold at the BWF World Championships. The passion and the dedication with which she pursued badminton is inspiring. PV Sindhu's success will inspire generations of players. Now moving to Ashes, social media is abuzz in reaction to Ben Stokes' heroic Ashes, which came just in a month after his starring role in Cricket World Cup final win over New Zealand. Stokes played one of the finest knocks in Test cricket as he guided England to an improbable one-wicket win against Australia on the 4th day of the 3rd Test at Headingley. On Sunday, Ben Stokes played a sensational knock as England recorded a win for the ages in the third Ashes Test against Australia at Headingley. Stokes played one of the finest knocks in Test cricket as he guided England to an improbable one-wicket win against Australia on the fourth day of the third Ashes Test at Headingley. Chasing 359 for the win, England were left 286 for 9, still 73 runs away from the target. It was then Stokes decided to play in an aggressive manner and he took on Australian bowlers, smashing them all around the park. He found support in the number 11 batsman Jack Leach, and the duo stitched together an unbeaten partnership of 76 runs, in which Leach only contributed 1 run from 17 balls. Social media was abuzz in reaction to Stokes' heroics. It was not just those in Camp England or Australia paying tribute, as legendary cricketers Sachin Tendulkar and South Africa's A.V. de Villiers hailed Stokes' knock. Sachin tweeted, "This match showed how Test cricket can be toughest and most entertaining format in cricket. Ben Stokes keep getting better and better, an innings that people will talk about for a long time." A.V. de Villiers tweeted, "That was pretty special. Ben Stokes, that was ridiculous. Well done, Ashes alive and well." Former England cricketer Nasir Hussain wrote, "Ben Stokes is one hell of a cricketer." Harbhajan Singh said, "Ben Stokes, that was simply awesome. This 100 will be remembered for a long time. What a player Ben Stokes. Congratulations, mate. Ashes Test cricket at its best. Incredible." Sports Desk, DD News. That's all from the sporting arena. For the rest of the news, back to you, Gautam.
Thank you, Narayan. I must say that Ben Stokes has really stoked up all the Test cricket fans, including you and me. Well, it's now time for our lighter side of news, the softer side of news. That's Live Prime. Well, Singapore has become a test bed for self-driving vehicles developing homegrown technology. From today, Singapore will begin a public trial of driverless buses that can be booked with an app. The autonomous vehicles, comprising 2 minibuses and 2 smaller shuttles, will ply popular destinations along a 5.7-kilometer route. The buses can operate in moderate rain but have to stop during heavy downpours. Visitors to Sentosa will be able to get around the island for free on an on-demand driverless shuttle service. But when it comes to handicraft and handlooms, India undoubtedly has a rich and boastful legacy. Our traditional art and artisans have proved their creativity time and again. We often come across such villages and hamlets where generations of one family has dedicated themselves in mastering a craft. One such family is in Vishara village of Rajasthan's Barmer district, which makes beautiful clay jewellery, and it's been doing that for the last 20 years. Jewellery style and motifs keep changing according to the trend, but clay jewellery remains the oldest favourite among all. It's eco-friendly and free of chemicals with the traditional touch of designs. One of the family members says that they are dedicated to jewellery making since 2 decades and sell a variety of designs at a very low price. And that's all we have for the moment in Midday Prime, but the latest continues right here on DD News. We will keep getting you updates from Biarritz as well. Very key sessions where Prime Minister Modi is participating in France as part of the entire G7 meet. Stay tuned.